Hey everybody, long time no see. I did a couple of segments last time concerning possible criminal acts, and I'm still going to be around there, but I'm going back to my personal belief that it's all about the money. Belief is the tool. And here's what I'm talking about. Everybody out there still doesn't know what to make of Trump and all this stuff. Uh, in my eyes, it's still the same. He's doing everything in order to make a profit, to get himself wealthy and filthy rich and all this good stuff, but at the expense of the American taxpayer. Let's start with the executive orders, okay? He's issued more executive orders than any modern president. That's what the press is saying. Almost 200 of them, and none of them to the benefit of us average everyday American citizens. For example, the deregulation of oil drillings, okay? With the results of the gas prices and fuel prices still high, we're still paying too much for it. Again, there's a lot of profit for those companies to make, and they're paying the government all the way up to Trump, from local states to Trump, and they're just pocketing a lot of cash. And again, it's all at the expense of the American people. The prescription drug prices. He's over here claiming, prescription drug prices are too high, and I want to wage war on them to lower the prices and all this other stuff. Here's the problem. The prices are still too high. So what he's doing is threatening all this other stuff while getting some bribes or whatever, some support, saying, well, yeah, we want fair pricing too. You think we like doing this to the American people and blah, 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 and all this other crap. But we're still paying too high a prices for prescriptions. Well, you guys are. I'm not on any prescriptions. I don't have health insurance. So I can't just get it, and I'm not nowhere near making enough money to pay out of pocket. So I'm dealing with sicknesses, conjuring up potions, concoctions to heal me whenever I get sick. But yeah, you are paying a lot. You all are paying too much. Insanely stupid examples is the weak shower heads, okay? With the results being none, because there's no such thing as a shower head that produces high pressure water to bathe in, okay? Water pumps do. Reasonably priced and efficient water pumps do, along with plenty of water for those pumps to to provide pressure. Okay, that is what makes great showers coming out of the whatever shower head that you want. But you don't see anything in Trump's plans to moderate and fix and balance out industry to consumer methods of us having these great showers. Okay, that's just insanely stupid executive order of spitting on companies that make shower heads, and yet still none of them are paying fines. It's not a tax break for us citizens. We're not saving any money with this executive order, but he's making this kind of crap to collect. And then he'll go ahead and tell you you're welcome, and that's it. It's all at the expense of the American dollar. He's pocketing a lot of money. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. He's collecting a lot of money, and all he has to do is jerk you around, jerk all of us around. Unfortunately, even guys like me who could see through the ruse. Okay. His executive orders. How about his Gestapo bullshit? This punishment of political enemies. Any political person that can see an actual problem, despite the fact that even us normal, average, everyday Americans can see the problems with this. He's over here trying to punish, trying to do some kind of Gestapo crap. How dare you say this and how do you say that? You need to go to jail. You need to be fired. You need to be arrested. The proof is that judge that just got arrested Forced immigration deportations, that's another Gestapo bullshit, Gestapo method. And the whack thing about this is that he's going after people, who may have crossed here illegally, who are still waiting to be vetted through, and that's if they even bothered to do it. I mean, some of them haven't, but can you blame them? They're getting arrested and deported, which was something that was going on occasionally, but now it's officially approved. It's just mind-blowingly Gestapo. It's what the Nazis did with every Jews and Gypsies and all these other people from other various parts of Europe. And it was wrong then, it's wrong now. Okay, how about the counterproductive executive order? Okay, tariffs. All right, that tariffs war thing. It's not phasing anybody. It's not phasing any country. None of this has anything to do with the benefit of us average everyday Americans. None of it. It's all for him to collect and pocket whatever it is that these companies are giving him. Because the companies aren't hurting. They say they are, but they're still collecting their pay no matter what, even at the cost of firing us average everyday workers. Okay, the majority of the country who are not paying attention to this actually believes that Trump and his administration actually gives a damn. Okay, and they're pocketing tons of cash, leaving us with nothing, and he and his followers are telling you, you're welcome. And which brings me all the way back to what I'm saying. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. So for all of you who are looking at all these charts saying his disapproval ratings and the Wall Street, those disapproval ratings, and popular opinion, the disapproval ratings, you're kind of wondering how this crap is still going on. Well, it's by design. If you can make money turning crap into gas, into fuel, you can make money through all sorts of crap. You can make money from trash to treasure merchandise. You can make money out of all sorts of trash, all different levels, even political. Which brings me to some of my hugest concerns right now. Okay, my concern anyway, at least. But it's not without all these experts saying that this is a concern also. Okay, there are people that are thinking along the same wavelength as my GED is the only proof of a certification booty. Okay, my butt sees this kind of crap also. And again, I'm just educated at most with a GED, a general's education diploma. All right. Trump's crypto scheme. Okay, and now I've stated this before, and I'm going to restate it again. The longer the tariff wars continues, the closer we get to lowering the dollar value more and more. You understand? The dollar will be in need of a value, and that's where Trump's crypto coin comes into the rescue. Okay? I've made this statement before, and I'm going to say it again. By the end of his second term, Trump's going to be a trillionaire. He's not going to be running for a third term. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if he even says it. By the end of his term, he's going to be a trillionaire. He's not going to need to be running the country anymore. Okay? He's going to be a trillionaire, and it's going to be done. Here's the problem. It's going to be done at the expense of you and me. Okay? The key words, dollar value. Those migrants, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Those migrants got shipped out. So that's roofings, cheap labor. Construction, cheap labor. Plantations and crops, cheap labor. Ranches, cheap labor. Farming, cheap labor. Domestic stuff like housing, house cleaning, janitorial services, all the way up to industrial. Warehouse factoring and janitorial of warehouses and all this good stuff. Cheap labor that's no longer going to be available. With valuable product that's no longer going to be available, and everything benefiting to those jobs. You know, I said janitorial service. Well, all that requires cleaning machinery and cleaning chemicals, tools, cleaning tools, and all this good stuff, which are not going to be available because they've all been booted out. They've all been deported. Every company is going to be affected in some way or another, right down from janitorial all the way up to corporate businesses and executives and Wall Street. Okay, so when that dollar value tanks from the plain dollar paper bill all the way down to something substantial like, you know, the fruits and vegetables, I'm just going to say, I can't remember, the agriculture, okay? Something that's real, something that you can actually hold and put a dollar value on. When all that tanks, the only thing that we're going to be able to do is rely on some form of currency that will be available that doesn't need to be substantially real, that doesn't need to be held. And that is the digital coin. Trump's crypto. Again, he's going to be a trillionaire by 2028. He's going to be a trillionaire in just a few years, in just a couple of years. This is 2025 right now. 3 years, 2.5, just under 3 years, he's going to come out on top. He's going to be a trillionaire. But it's going to come at the cost to all of us. It's going to be at the expense of all of us because everything's being altered right now. No trade, no tariffs, no work, nothing to provide. And with all the trades keeping us from making money off of it anyway, even if we could stay and stick to our jobs and have a boss that's kind enough to keep us and we produce all this great stuff, we've got no buyers. The China, Canada, Mexico, our own neighbors, they're turning to other countries that will not raise tariffs, that will create good business. And sure, Trump is pulling out this little Band-Aid and that little Band-Aid to maintain stuff for now. But in the end, it's all going to tank. And without something to make the difference or substitute, in this case, the digital dollar, that Trump and Musk and all these other investors are promoting and upholding and maintaining, you know, without that digital dollar, yeah, we're going to sink into another depression and economical crisis and all this other crap that everybody's predicting. So once this comes into play, things start to balance out. And it's just under 3 years right now as we're speaking, because this is the last day of April that I'm filming this. This is April 30th. And, you know, his term is almost done, you know, in just 3 more years, his second term. He's not going to run for a third. He doesn't need to. He's going to be a trillionaire by the time this is done, but it's going to be at the heavy financial cost of us. Moving on, revenge porn bill. Okay, the problem with this is that the clear problem with this bill is protecting people from revenge porn. Okay, is that we all know Trump is going to use this to stop the exposure of him in the acts of pornography and sexual abuses that have been recorded in the form of pornography. Okay? There are still accusations of he recording himself in the act of committing porn acts with paid prostitutes, all the way down the list to urinating on 14-year-old prostitutes in some Eastern European hotel. I cannot remember what that was when I first read these claims and well, not just accusation, but claims, legal and actual claims. I was shocked. I was really upset with the fact that the people were voting for this guy, were even considering, because at the time he was just a candidate back in 2015. So it was just messed up. But those same accusations, those same claims of criminal acts are still there. And people are still, particularly the victims, are still wanting justice for what he's done. Okay, for what he's done to them. So for him to pass this revenge porn bill, where it protects somebody like his wife, who didn't really pose naked, but posed in these bikinis were leaving little to the imagination, who used to pose for dirty magazines at one point in time, full well he's going to use this bill to protect himself, to clear himself from any and every recordings, pictures, videos that he's done committing these sex acts on women, whether they were women he's sexually harassed and coerced into having sex with him, to paid prostitutes, adult women who are now like these senior citizens and crap. So and nobody believes, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't bone her. He did 30 years ago when she was nowhere near a senior citizen. These women are still making claims of what happened. All the way down to teenage prostitutes in some foreign country, which everybody's saying, well, that's over there and there's no proof of it here. What is he actually doing? And all this other crap. Everybody's coming to the defense to him, and nobody should be. And it's very clear that this revenge porn bill, he's signing it not only to protect the people of revenge porn, but most definitely to clear him of anybody who will bring this as admissible evidence, non-exculpable evidence. And finally, the last one, because I'm coming up to 20 minutes, I'm probably going to hit the whole half hour. Sorry about this. Lab animals. For some stupid reason, President Trump cut the budgeting to lab animals. Now, most people think that these are going to lead to missed opportunities to finding cures and stuff. Excuse me. And they are correct. But there's a deeper, darker flip side to this that makes that qualifies under my huge concern. I'm worried about the upcoming bullcrap mishandlings of the animals, like in the early days when budget cuts and deregulations led to BS experimentations on animals. It was in the early 90s, so I can't really remember what date it was, but there were some activists that exposed acts of cruelty being done by these so-called scientists. One of the mind-boggling and shocking was shoe polish applied to a monkey to record the reacts of the chemical burn. And to top it all off, there were no actual recordings found when the file cabinets were ransacked. Back then, there was very little thumb drives and stuff like that. There might have been some computer mainframe recordings, but in those days, in the early 90s, everybody was still writing everything out on paper. And none of the activists that ransacked the laboratories found any kind of recordings, documentations of such acts of cruelty to these animals in the name of science. One prime example was, again, a shoe polish covering an entire monkey with shoe polish to watch the animal's chemical burn reactions. It's clear act of cruelty. It was clear act of sadoism to an animal, and it's completely unwarranted. We all know if you put a chemical on skin or flesh or hide, it's gonna freaking burn. You're stupid if you don't think so, and you're just downright wrong for actually applying it to the skin of an animal. And not even recording it just means that it's applying it to the skin of the animal for the hell of it, which is total bullshit. This is the total bullshit that I'm talking about. Sorry for the language. I tried to stop myself, but this is a huge concern. Because, and to top it all off, it leads to the number one concern. Nothing is being done in trying to find cures to diseases and illnesses. So for Trump and his administration to cut the budgeting, and again, budget cuts to this and any other policy and procedure, to any other plan, budget cuts to all of those, just has me questioning, well, if we're still paying a whole buttload of taxes and the taxes is going to the government and none of that stuff the government is spending on, where's the money going? Who's pocketing the money? Because someone is. Which leads me back to that criminal investigation segment last month or earlier this month. I can't remember. But I'm going to be bringing it up again, obviously. So yeah, that's an update for those who want to come to my site to hear what's going on, whatever subject, on common sense, on common ground. Somebody like me is going to ignore policy labels and procedures, techniques, legal procedures and stuff. Somebody like me who sits with you around the barbecue pit is going to talk like this, plain and simple talk, which is the reason why all you 16 followers come to me anyway, whoever you are, because for some oddball reason, YouTube doesn't, I guess I'm just not making enough popularity or something. YouTube doesn't let me doesn't let me know who you are. So I can't communicate with any of y'all, and you can't communicate with me for some reason. But I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you coming to my show and just hearing me out. Just let me babble. Because as you can see, I'm not going off of paranoia. I'm not letting my emotions get the better half of me for the most part. And I talk on common sense, on common ground. Instead of trying to talk like I'm some kind of mega researcher or some shit, No, I leave that to the professionals, Jesse Dollemore and Brittany Page. You got to let them talk. You got to try to catch up with them. They're not going to talk the same dummy talk that you and I talk around the cooler, but they're gonna fill you in on all of the crap that they see, and it's mind-blowing every time. It's a great eye opener when this happy couple who grew up raised to hate winds up ditching the white extremists. And I'm going to say extremist because there's nothing supreme about people of hate. This happy couple ditched those people of hate and are now coming up on the Dollemore Show and the Page Perspective. And they're giving us these huge insight every time they catch it. Every time they see it, they're giving us this insight and stuff. Now that's real research stuff. They're the ones that need that million followers. Me, I'm okay with my under 20, my 16 followers. If and when you ever watch any of my shows, I'm all right, brother. I'm all right. I'm all right, my sister. Brian Tyler Cohen and everybody that he pulls on his show. I hate it when my mind goes blank. I mention them every time too. But the people that he pulls on their show, they're the ones that they need not need, but they're the ones that you should follow. Despite the fact that they've got the Donahue problem, where most of the time you really don't know what they're saying because they're quoting policies, they're quoting procedures, but they need to stick to those particular words, titles, and terms because those are specific for what they're trying to say. You know what I mean? It's like that showerhead crap. We're getting weak pressure out of our showers, so I want to write a bill to make sure the shower heads provide enough pressure. Dude, That's not water pressure, water pump, water pressure lingo, much less is it a factor into water pumps and water pressures. Not shower heads. Shower heads is, I mean, at best, it's including the designer aspect of it. And that's only in reference to those shower heads that you can channel to different levels of water pressure coming out. Okay? But it still has nothing to do with the actual water pressures and water pumps that create the pressure. Okay? That build up the pressure is what I mean. And those technicalities, when you go to Brian Tyler Cohen and when you go to, Dave, I think his name is Tom Holland or Dave Holland. Can't remember. See, this is why I'm not a researcher. When you go to them that do actual research and stuff, they have to use that particular lingo. And there's times where I have to do it while, eating my lunch or snacking and focus on not burning my fingers in my coffee when I'm dunking my cookie, more so than being glued to the set, because, being glued to it, my eyelids get a lot heavy and heavy and heavy, as opposed to being occupied and just getting the gist of it, but yet still grateful that they're there, to put it out, to put out to put out the information, okay, that we need to know, the knowledge. So, yeah. Thank you so much, you 16 followers. I wish I could. I'm struggling to pay the bills no differently than all of you out there. So I don't have that money to invest for any merchandise, Chris's comments, or Common Sense on Common Ground, which is, my lingo. I've got it copywritten, but I don't have the money to merchandise it, to patent it and merchandise it. So I wish I could, but I don't. I'm struggling to make ends meet like with the rest of y'all out here. And I want y'all to keep supporting everybody out there. One of the shirts that I'm going to be getting is the Fight Poverty, Not the Poor. As soon as I get the spending money, I'm going to try to buy more of it for Christmas and such and such. But, that's still a ways to go. And I hope all of you get the opportunity to actually do that. And I hope y'all keep on keeping on and take care of each other and keep your eyes open and keep watching out for this, watch out for that. You come to my show, you're watching me point out all the robbery that's going on, despite the fact that there's very little, all the evidence that I'm presenting is circumstantial, forgotten, discarded, but nevertheless, it was factual evidence. So, if any of y'all out there are actual research and writers and want to do this kind of stuff also, and that you can make it to the level of BTC or the Dollarmores, and Page Perspective and everybody else that I'm forgetting right now, by all means, do it and keep on doing it, because somebody like me that's, so lack of quite a bit, I can't. But if you can, go for it, I'll watch your show. I ain't got no problem with that. I'll support you too. I'll shout out your name. So, all right, everybody, y'all take care. Y'all take it easy. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, the show of Common Sense on Common Ground, signing out. Y'all take care.